Namaste. I'm Mona Flynn. Thank you for joining me for the second of a two-part series on preparations in yoga and yoga therapy for rotator cuff issue, frozen shoulder, shoulder issues. And in this portion, we are going to cover passive movement to ensure building up to range of movement, knowing that over time, we want to incorporate strength work. And so these are just a few ideas to ease into your practice using what we know from rehabilitative and therapeutic practices on the side of prevention. Keep in mind that these are what we call preparations, exercises we might use that approximate and give us accessibility into new poses we want to try or help us work back to poses that we're enjoying. But under the bigger umbrella of yoga therapy, we want to incorporate awareness of breath and all the other yogic tools that can complement all of the ways that we use our practice. For today's practice, we will incorporate mantra. I can, and therefore I will. I will, and therefore I am. I am doing this. All right. So let's begin with, if there is stiffness, tightness, weakness, limitation, what you may be familiar with, exercises that invite you to use a wall to walk your hand up the wall. And therefore allow the hand to help guide the shoulder, pausing and spending time in a place that feels a little bit challenging, just to use breath and let the apprehension or the tension subside, putting mind on the body, and then perhaps finding the chance to go that little bit further. You can incorporate a light push, so the angles that you are working at then gain some strengthening with them. There is a strengthening element to how we are building mobility, yeah? And you can begin to use this in a myriad of ways, depending on where the tightness, the injury, the limitation, the weakness is. You can take the hand slightly back without turning the rib cage, just finding the willingness of the front of the shoulder opening without hanging on the labrum. And likewise, you can take the arm down, back, and continue to find angles that are useful to you. Another way is to use a dowel. And here, I happen to have a dowel, and you might not have one, but I'm going to encourage you that perhaps you have a long umbrella. Perhaps you can use the handle of a broomstick. You can unscrew it, and then all of a sudden you have something about this length. So if you'll notice, I can hold it in front of me, and I can swing the arms from side to side, and the hand that's at the bottom is guiding the arm that is lifting. So if my attention needs to go to working on mobility for this shoulder, I can very gently and mindfully begin to guide, and in a very careful way, so that there's no jarring, there's no tearing, there is very light understanding of self, small increments, to allow the bottom hand to press and to use the dowel then to affect the other arm. But this is not the only angle that you can use this with. So, for example, we can be doing exactly the same thing from the floor. I could decide to take gravity from that angle out of it and again allow one arm to help guide the increase in mobility to the other. You'll want to work with a yoga therapist, with a trainer, with your physical therapist, talk to your doctor, and begin to create the challenge and the practice of how many repetitions do I do, how many days do I do this, how many times a day do I do this in sets, and incorporate breath, especially when it is new, so it becomes part of the practice. If resting flat at the floor in the Shavasana style position is too much for you, you can plant your feet, and that might be kinder on the lower back, but then you'll want to stay clear of the path of that dowel. You might want to support underneath your pelvis or underneath your head to accommodate lumbar spine, neck, back in any way that you need. And then take the time to come rolling to one side and rolling up. So the getting up and down, how you bear weight, that can begin to incorporate yet another preparation. It can be a great twist and a chance to have upper body strengthening. The variety of angles that you use your arms then becomes comprehensive and ensures that you get to enjoy your freedom. Great mobility. Our shoulders are designed to give us access to all of this space. Yeah. But I have one more tool for you, and it is rather subtle and very sneaky. So it incorporates the use of a ball. And it's not important how your ball is designed. I happen to have one that looks like this, but I could equally use a tennis ball, a pinky ball, a small ball of any size. And the idea is to begin to use it between my hands and then between my wrists. And I can just play around. I can begin to roll and take advantage of that. This is a ball and it will roll. And how can I manage to move my arms with it so that I practice a great variety of movement, and I am trying to avoid holding on to it with my fingers, with my hands. The more that you get used to this smart, fun little challenge, the more you will recognize that no matter where you are with it, you can begin to incorporate a little bit of strengthening. I can decide that I'll go a little bit further, find a great challenge in this range of movement, and then press the arms into each other through the ball. And I can back off and continue to do just that. I can find different ways. Notice how this approximates what we practice in eagle pose. And I can play around with different angles of where is the ball, what is the fulcrum, what is being asked of the arms and the shoulders. And then the benefit comes to be, especially if there is a compromise in one of the shoulders, and we are all working on shoulder mobility, by the way. But it comes to be that we've tricked ourselves into a variety of movements, of positions that the shoulder, the arm is in relative to the shoulder joint. And through it all, we've been adding a little bit of a push. So enjoy having preparations in your practice that give you a great variety, that take your mind off the fact that you may be having certain habitual patterns that are compensatory that lend to holding you back. That if they incorporate a little bit of fun and a little bit of freedom from focusing on holding back, then you begin to trust your body and explore having light strength work and great movement off your mat and into this world. Find those ways, share with us in the comments section, ask questions, join our classes, and by all means, enjoy moving in this world. Namaste.